I'm Judith Lewis, and once a gamer girl, always a gamer girl.
Hi, I'm Julia Logan, and welcome to today's episode of the SERP show, where we are talking about the newly announced release of a game called Stray.
Yay!
So basically, I'm not much of a gamer, to be honest. And the only reason I know about this game is because my daughter sent me the link, and it's a game that has a cat in it. And basically, the whole idea of the game is that you get to play as a cat, hiding out in a futuristic city where all the humans are dead and only robots remain. So I thought, since that is something so new that has just been announced yesterday, it would be really interesting to look at the SERPs in different search engines, and I mean Google and Bing, and see how they react to something that has just been mentioned for the first time a few hours ago, and how well they pick up stuff related to this new entity, and even if they are aware that this is an entity already.
There are so many strays already, as we can, any of us, think of, besides, stray cat strutting, that it's difficult to see how Google would pick up on it quickly. We have plenty of examples of natural disasters, things like hurricanes, tornadoes, named after people, like Katrina and the waves. And Hurricane Katrina took ages for Google to catch up with. So how is it doing with the generic Stray?
Up and coming news stories and items like this, something new happening. It's not every day that you get such an opportunity, so we decided that it would be important to look at something like this today. So if we look at Stray just as one word in Google, we can see that Google is pretty confused.
Yeah.
It shows us so many things that are called Stray. First, apparently there is a rock band called Stray.
They look like your typical rock band as well.
Yep. Then there is a dictionary definition of stray.
Of course.
Then
there is videos.
Yeah, some stories about the actual game. Then the link to the definition in another dictionary, and people also ask are completely irrelevant to what we are now searching for.
This is true.
Yeah, Wikipedia is the article about the band.
And check out those related searches.
Yeah, related searches, yes, strike me as unusual because I've never seen them separated by lines like this before. Maybe Google is testing something. Judith is telling me that she just sees a proper, usual, normal format. No looking glass here, no lines between the lines.
No, it's all quite dull and normal. But notice that here on Stray, we've not got a refinement for PS5 yet.
Yes, there is no suggestion if you just look for one word. So yeah, and apart from the top stories, this is the actual story about the announcement about this game, about the preview of the game, the teaser that they've just released. And then there are two news stories about coronavirus. And I mean, Stray FM area. This is interesting, and we checked what this was all about. And apparently, Stray FM is a radio station in the Harrogate area. And because I'm on a Glasgow IP, this is something that Google thought would be relevant to my location. So I'm not quite in that area. I mean, God knows where I am physically, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is your IP.
I'm also, though, nowhere near Harrogate, and I get the same results. So good on you, Stray FM, for owning the various different nodes around the UK. But yeah, it's not just you, it's me as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's interesting. So to me, it would at least make sense because my IP is kind of close to that location, but not for Judith.
No.
Anyways, then the next thing we see is Stray on Twitter, and there we actually do get some news stories about this game, but also just generic stories about stray cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because Google is still trying to sort its head around what exactly we mean when we say stray.
Exactly. And if we look at the suggestions, if we start typing stray and then make a space afterwards, that's when we finally get our PS5 suggestion.
Yeah. It takes a long time to get there, too. It's right at the bottom. You have to add the space and everything.
So basically, Google has just started understanding that this is something that is relevant to this query. This is something that's happening now. This is something that people are searching for.
And it's a little faster.
Yeah. And actually, if we look at the trends.
Yeah.
Just over to, okay, that's US. Let me see UK. If that's any different. No, actually not much. Like the interest is actually dropping, but this is web search. This is web search. Now, if we switch to news search, would that be any different? No, but in the US, it was kind of different.
Yeah, in the US, I guess where it's a little bit more self-aware, it's spotted that there is an increasing trend in news for stuff about something called stray.
Yep. So there is this increase, there is this trend, growing trend this week, just this very week, because the actual announcement came just yesterday, basically not even 24 hours ago.
Yep.
So yeah, there is some surge in news stories, but I mean, this is the second show where I mention how much I miss Google Insights, which had the actual news stories that were causing spikes in search interest.
So much more convenient.
You don't get anything like that here. You just get related topics, you just get related queries, and they're not very related.
Stray Kids.
Yeah. Stray Kids, which is apparently some K-pop
boy band. Yeah.
Boy band or something like that. So anyways, back to the SERPs. And what do we see ranking here? So we've already talked about this top stories block and the Twitter block. And the dictionary definition, which would be fine if that was just a generic query, if we did not mean the actual entity, which is this game.
Yeah. And Google here is hedging its bets.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what you want. You just typed in stray.
Know at this point. Yep.
Yeah.
And the videos are all dominated by this teaser that's just been released. And I mean, actually, that's a pretty interesting one. We'll see in a bit, unless people have seen that on their own already. So yeah, one thing that strikes us as interesting is Steam ranking here. Actually, the first organic result, Steam.
Yeah.
This is stray on Steam. So we went there and we checked it out. And yes, this is about this very game, which apparently is due to be released next year.
It's a long time to wait.
Yeah, but if yesterday it was announced or it was presented at this PS5 reveal event, which is covered by yet another gaming publication. Yeah, so here we see something else. I mean, Steam is not something that you play on PS4, PS5, whatever. Yeah, Steam is for games that you play on your PC computer. So apparently that seems to be this idea here that it's supposed to come out for Windows as well.
Yep.
PC. So that's why it's covered on Steam. So apparently, yeah, and that's the actual story about this cat wandering this city with robots.
Presumably, it trains the robots to feed it, much like it trains humans to feed it.
Nice.
Absolutely stunning graphics. I'm not surprised that people have been excited about it because it's beautifully illustrated.
Yep.
And for that to be a game, I've loved the advancement of graphics in games. Being as old as I am, I remember when they were horrible.
This is the cat. This is the cat. Isn't he lovely?
Yeah. I remember when Leisure Suit Larry in the Land of the Lounge Lizards was the absolute height of what you could do graphically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And now we've got this. So it's amazing. But when you put in Stray and you went to the PS5 version of Stray, and we see those different blocks, we see that actually instead of having organic search results, the first 3 organic, 10 blue links, search results have been turned into these top stories, Twitter, and then videos.
Yep.
So we've actually got these as blocks.
Which is basically not that different from what we get for Stray alone. Yeah.
Taking out the band and the dictionary definition. So we focused in, but it does understand now at least that it's the game that we're looking for, not
PS5,
Yeah.
Yeah, and more suggestions related specifically to this game for PS5.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, but also if you look for Stray in the news, then not all you get.
Because you get the nice block at the top.
You get all the stories about the game called Stray, but also you got this Harrogate radio station and then some story about coronavirus in that area. So yeah.
But it's like not a very attractive block of news on the top though. It's just a bunch of ugly links.
It's just a bunch of links, with a little preview of this. So yeah. But yeah, if we go to Stray PS5, if we clarify our search, as any searcher would if they see something like this and do not get what they are searching for.
Yeah.
We see, basically all we see is the news stories on all the gaming resources about the release of this teaser.
Yeah.
And notably, blog of PlayStation.com is also in here, but look how close it is to the end of the page. It's not ranking at all.
It doesn't seem right.
Keep this in mind until we look at Bing.
So we've got PlayStation not ranking well for its own release.
Not in Google, at least.
Suspicious. I wonder why.
Yep. So yeah, basically, if we check the same results in Bing, what do we get here? So the results for Stray are pretty similar. We also have this knowledge graph pane. It's not called that in Bing. It's called, gosh, I forget.
I rarely talk about Bing. I didn't know they had a different name for it.
Yeah, they do have a different name. And actually, it's a shame for me to forget this because I spoke about Bing and everything it has to offer compared to Google in Brighton at Brighton SEO last year.
Well, it's offering us Stray Kids videos.
Yeah. One of the things that was in my presentation, I compared these knowledge pane and the Bing equivalent for different queries in Google and Bing.
And unlike Google, Bing is actually at least letting us listen to the band right there embedded. And Bing, being balanced and fair, has Google Play on offer as well as Spotify. So, they're being quite fair about it. They're not excluding Google from their options of how to listen to it.
Yeah, they are less into gatekeeping than Google is, I think.
And although we don't have the video, we've just got, boy band music videos. Maybe that says something about the demographic of Bing. Middle-aged women, maybe.
Really?
And we can see the dictionary definition has been collapsed. The movie has a smaller entry, and then we get into the news. But the news here, spot on.
Yeah, the news are completely spot on. All 3 blogs, all 3 news stories presented here. But also the movie, I don't think we had a movie in Google. We did not.
No, We do have
it's either the dictionary definition or the rock band or the game, and that's it.
Poor people who starred in whatever that movie is.
Yeah,
it's probably not done very well.
It's pretty recent. It's last year's movie, apparently. So yeah, images. Well, images are just generic images for this query. Right. Then there is a definition, just like in Google. Here you go. People also ask are also pretty generic.
Yeah.
And there's Wikipedia and stuff. Yeah. So, and also note the absence of stray PS5 as a suggestion here in related searches.
Yeah.
So same story. If you type a little space, okay, it's showing this here just because I've already searched for it.
Yeah.
But initially there was no suggestion this unless you type a space.
Yeah.
Then it finally shows, just like in Google. So if we head over to stray PS5,
we can see this is a much more attractive.
So yeah, Google 3 blocks taking up the entire first scroll and a half.
Yep.
Right? Bing. Where is that? This is it. Neat little block of news stories.
Yeah.
From different sources, and then organic results. So I would say Bing is more friendly towards the sites that they're getting information from.
And I love the design. Plus, I also like that you can click the see more link so that you can see more news specifically about it.
Yep. So basically same thing as this news tab here.
Yep.
But I mean, this is a nice touch. This is useful. Instead of having you scroll up there, you could just click here and that would be it.
Yeah.
And also, what we have ranking here is apparently news stories, but look, PlayStation blog is number 2. That's slightly better.
And makes more sense since it's their platform and their game.
And we were so surprised to see PlayStation blog performing so poorly on Google.
Yeah.
Well, this is basically one of the chief sources of this news. That we went over to Systrix to see if there is any issue, any penalty perhaps, or something like that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in this case, we have only discovered that there is apparently no penalty, but we could not get much out of this. Why? Because every tool is prejudiced towards the information they are showing based on the set of keywords that they are covering. And apparently, we see this, it's not when that blog was started. It existed for much longer than this. Not just for the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? But basically, I think what happened here is Systrix has added a bunch of new keywords here that PlayStation blog was ranking for. And hence we see this spike in organic visibility. But whether or not that is true, in each case, it's up to the person researching this stuff to decide. And in this case, it is very apparent to me that there might have been no such spike, especially if we look at okay, this is PS5, so apparently they do cover PS5. And here you have PlayStation, but they have a separate URL for the UK users, specifically for PS5. And that's what's ranking if you search for PS5 in the UK. And I don't really see the blog here. Okay? I don't really see the blog, but
exactly. So it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it's really important that when you use a tool, you remember stuff like this, because too often I see SEOs who rely on tools 100% and say, oh, well, if it's not in Ahrefs, SEMrush, Systrix, etc., then it doesn't exist. But they're only tracking tens of millions of keywords, and we're making billions of searches, half of which Google's never seen before. So, it's not right to rely on a tool too much.
Yep. So basically, I really like to say something like this. Any tool is only as good as the person using it.
Very true.
So yeah. So this is the blog, and it's quite massive, and it's quite busy. I mean, all the news stories just published yesterday, a bunch of them, and some already published today. It's really, really busy. There's a lot happening here. So there is no way it could only have started ranking like this. It's just that probably those keywords were not tracked, not at least in the UK. We're looking at the UK SERPs here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We have not checked the US. It's behind the scope beyond the scope of this show, because we could spend an hour talking about all the aspects of tracking and stuff like this. So let's cut this short.
This is very true.
Yeah.
But what about Majestic?
This is what it is.
Yeah, when we looked at Majestic too, we found that as a tool, I love Majestic. I really do. Yes. But
one of my go-to tools, something I can't work without at all. But basically, all we could see here is that it's got a massive link profile. I mean, the PlayStation blog, we're looking specifically at the blog subdomain of PlayStation.com.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got quite a massive link profile. But unfortunately, when we go to new links, the information here is not fresh enough to show us the news coverage, the media coverage, due to the recent announcement, due to the recent events.
Exactly.
And all the games being released or announced or previewed and so on, or teased. Yeah, so basically this only goes as far as June 9th. And the event was yesterday, June 11th. So, I mean, the data is not fresh enough, unfortunately. We will only be able to see the impacts of that event and the news coverage and the links that the blog has got as a result of that only in a few days.
Yeah, which is a shame, because we're seeing changes now. And speaking of changes, we saw a change in Bing itself within
pretty much in real time.
10, 15 minutes?
So basically, we were looking at these SERPs, and I believe it was in stray PS5 results, but we've seen, when we were just discussing this topic that we should cover today and we should talk about, we've seen Reddit ranking.
Yep, I remember.
Apparently, as soon as that game was announced, as soon as it was showcased in that event, somebody has gone and created a subreddit for it, right?
Of course, because life wouldn't be the same without that.
And I mean, of course, this will be a hot topic when the game is released or closer to the release. And maybe even, like, I don't know, in a few weeks from now, if some new development starts there and people will start discussing the features and stuff like that, perhaps. But definitely when it gets released, I'm pretty sure it will be a big topic for discussion. And somebody has already got the space to themselves, claimed the space, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And basically, what's really interesting here is that Reddit is nowhere on here. I mean, if you search for something like Reddit, like this, perhaps you will see something. Yes, like this. PS5, but that's an existing board for PS5.
Yep.
And no, I don't think that's the same thing. No, that's not.
So we did also check, just in case that subreddit had been removed from the SERPs.
So, apparently it's not removed. But we no longer see it here. But it was here. It was here at the bottom of the page. And that's a nice variety, not just large news sources, but also user-generated content like Reddit. And apparently, it's anyone's guess whether or not it really deserves to be in these SERPs, given that it doesn't have anything happening here yet.
Yeah.
It's just a new URL just being created on Reddit. But yeah, it's interesting that it even got here because in my experience, Bing has always been slightly slower, sometimes a lot slower than Google at indexing things. But it shows that it has really improved in this regard recently. And this URL, I mean, we can even check if this URL is indexed by Google at all.
Yeah.
Check. Is it even indexed?
Ooh.
Apparently, yeah, it says it is indexed.
Is that the actual index, though? Because that doesn't look like the right... Is that the right subreddit?
Yeah, this is... I believe so. Let's see.
No.
Well...
Different subreddit.
PS5. Oh, yeah. So this is stray PS5 with an underscore. This is stray PS5 without the underscore. And that's the comments of some post on there. So, like, yeah. So apparently not just that one person has claimed the space, but somebody else has claimed the space. So,
Trying to land grab.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but apparently we don't see this very URL here.
No, we're not seeing Reddit at all. But it was really good to see Bing indexing or adding to its index something that was so fresh and so new after it used to be 3 days to see something new.
At least.
So that's really...
and I'm guessing that the reason for that is probably because Reddit has a Bing Webmaster Tools account. And in Bing Webmaster Tools account, there's a very neat feature that lets you push any content, any new URLs that you're creating on your site straight into Bing, so that it facilitates the indexing and discovery of those URLs and makes them appear in Bing much faster.
So I guess I can guess what you're going to recommend.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you haven't checked out Bing Webmaster Tools anytime recently, I urge you to go there and register an account for your site and just give it a play. And they have been doing very extensive development, development of new features there recently. So basically, I mean, it's moving at a really good pace right now, and there's a lot of really, really useful stuff there, stuff that you won't even find in Google Search Console.
So it's important to always use more than just one search engine. I know we haven't used Yandex, my favorite, yet today, or even on this show, but for our next show, maybe we'll be looking at lots of different search engines and comparing them head to head in an interesting search.
Yeah, after all, this is not a Google SERP show. This is the SERP show.
Exactly.
So, yeah, perhaps. Right.
So, wow, we've discovered all sorts of things about new indexation and things popping in and out of Bing. And also we learned what new games are coming out for the PS5.
Yeah, go watch the trailer. It's really worth it. The graphics are amazing, and I'm not affiliated apparently with the game developers, but yeah, it's just kind of interesting. And of course, I'm not affiliated with Bing, and probably will post the link to my talk about Bing last year somewhere in Twitter or somewhere in comments or something like that. But yeah, go and check out Bing if you haven't yet, and go and get yourself a Bing Webmaster Tools account. Do it. Do it now.
You've heard her, people. You know what to do. Now go and do it.
And with that, we say goodbye to you till the next episode. And do subscribe to our channel. And feel free to comment and leave your suggestions for future episodes.
And please always subscribe to our channel so we can get a cool URL.
Yep.